Hi everybody, I'm Michelle Fitzgerald with Sensor Learning Center, and today I want to talk with you a little bit about clearing past life belief codes. Now, if you don't know what belief codes are, go onto my website. The little website address is at the bottom of this screen, and go to the section in the main menu bar that says belief codes and read a little bit about my theory, my brief little snippet on the website about belief codes. These are subconscious programs that we get that we cultivate in past lifetimes. We cultivate in early childhood in this lifetime, sometimes later, even into adulthood it can happen, but usually it happens in early childhood in a current lifetime. And we cultivate belief codes. We gather, we don't cultivate, we acquire a huge percentage from our ancestors. I was inspired to talk today a little bit about belief codes because belief codes, past life belief codes especially, are wonderfully beneficial to clear if you can find them and ferret them out and clear and have the appropriate techniques to clear them. They are the precursors to your present life belief codes. They create a predisposition for you to look at life and the things that are going around you as a child. And the belief codes that you have in your belief code inventory prior to that point where you're making judgments about what's going on in your environment, they're creating this disposition to respond to what's going on in a certain way, emotionally, consciously, all that type of thing. So the starting inventory of belief codes that you go into any childhood situation with are from past lifetimes and from your ancestors. We inherit a lot of our belief codes. But the codes that we inherit are directly related to our past life codes. In order to pull the codes from the family bloodline, you have to already have past life codes that have a resonance with whatever it is you're pulling into your belief code inventory. So bottom line, clearing past life belief codes is incredibly valuable because it's connected to these ancestral codes, it's connected to present life codes, and it's just incredibly valuable to clear them. It can be incredibly complicated and require very advanced skills to clear past life belief codes. It can also be insanely easy. And I'm going to show you a technique today, or review a few stories with you today, brief stories that will teach you really quickly a wonderful technique. It's a technique of just using imaging that can help you clear past life belief codes just like that. So this was inspired by an email, me doing the video today was inspired by an email that I received from a student not long ago. She was in France at the time that she sent me the email. And she had been there for a few days and she was finding that she was very uncomfortable going outside. And she's a world traveler, so it's not like this is a new experience for her, but all of a sudden she's just kind of overwhelmed with this discomfort about going outside. And she writes me this email. It has to do with not only the going outside problem, but some other problems too. And she says, "Hi, Michelle. For the past 2 to 3 weeks, I've experienced unusual tension in my body where I have to consciously and deliberately relax it. I've also been incredibly fearful of going outside. I couldn't get to sleep a couple of nights ago, and no matter what I tried, I could not relax my body. A picture of an asteroid flashed before me, and I doused whether or not this was a cause. I got a yes. If the image of the asteroid in her mind had anything to do with why she had so much tension, why she was having these weird symptoms. Anyway, she douses about it and she gets yes. I had read the day before that in the news that a large asteroid had passed close by the Earth. I had a self-chat that the asteroid, this is a common technique I teach about, once you figure out what the problem is, you can do this thing called just a little basic chat to line yourself up with the present and get yourself out of past memories that are no longer actually problematic, but your whole system thinks that you're going to repeat a bad experience that you had in the past. Anyway, she said, I had a self-chat that the asteroid had missed us and would not return for at least 100,000 years and probably never. Within seconds, my body completely relaxed and the tension has not returned. I wouldn't have thought to pursue this if not for your comet story. And I'm going to tell you that story in just a minute. This was a story that I tell many of my students when I do past life belief code training, and it's called the Comet story. But she says, I wouldn't have thought to pursue this if not for your Comet story. Interestingly, my system knew in advance, her system knew about the asteroid, that there was an asteroid out there in the present, and it evidently woke up past life belief code. So the lesson here is she saw an image in her mind, a flash. She's experiencing all this tension. She's experiencing fear about going outside. She's thinking about all this tension and fear and about the fear thing, and she has a flash of a picture of an asteroid in her mind. And she just intuits that may have something to do with what's going on. She douses, yes, it does. And she just has a reality check chat with her subconscious mind to say, hey, there's a comet out there. I get it. But the comet has passed us. We haven't been harmed. It's not going to return for about 100,000 years. We're safe. And just like that, all the body pain, all the tension, all the fear of going outside completely disappears. So that brings me to the comet story. This is back, probably 10, 12 years ago, something like that. I met a guy at a meeting. It was a dowsing meeting. And I met this guy, and the second I met him, I felt uncomfortable around him. I knew that I was uncomfortable and kind of kept my distance. Well, he ended up signing up for some of my classes. At the time, I was teaching classes live in Sedona. And he ended up signing up for some of my classes. And the first day that he appears for one of the classes, I just am feeling so uncomfortable around this guy, and I recognize that I'm uncomfortable, but I just kind of shove it under the subconscious carpet. Try not to think about it, go about my business. Well, he continues to come to classes. I continue to be uncomfortable, et cetera, and this goes on for a number of weeks. Well, one day I have to change the timing of the class, and I'm going to need to call everybody and tell them that they have to come at a different time. And I pick up the phone to call this guy, and I instantly went into a panic attack, an actual panic attack. I couldn't breathe. My heart rate was just out of control. I was sweating profusely. It happened within just seconds. My body went into that kind of reaction. And I said, okay, that's it. That's absolutely it. I need to deal with this now. And I knew it must have something to do with belief codes. And I instantly just stopped and I dowsed. I just used simple, muscle testing. Do I have any active belief codes that are causing this reaction? And I got a yes, a really strong yes with just finger dowsing. And I got, okay, somehow I am perceiving this guy as a major threat. And I know logically he is not a threat to me. What am I perceiving that this guy is that is so threatening? And I used a method called the alphabet method. I must be saying something like, this is called, the alphabet method, but also the mini-me method, which you can read about in my book, Chasing the Shadow of Free Will. It's an easy belief code clearing technique, whether the codes are inherited, past life, present life, whatever. So I was going to use the alphabet method and the mini-me method to figure out what was going on here. And I dowsed, can I use the mini-me method? Will that be effective in helping me find and clear whatever the codes are that are causing this? And I got a big, strong yes. And I got, okay, so what am I saying about this guy? Am I saying he is, he isn't, I am? Am I saying something about myself? I am not? And I got that my subconscious was playing some kind of record that was going, he is blank, he is a blank, or he is blank. And I was saying about myself, I am blank. And all I had to do was fill in those blanks. So I started dowsing up the alphabet, and first I wanted to figure out, what am I saying about him? And I went, does it start with an A? Does it start with a B? Does it start with a C? It started with a C. And I just started then using intuitive guessing, and I'm trying to guess of words that start with C. But as I go into this process, I instantly, kind of like my student, I instantly saw very vividly in my mind a comet. And that starts with C. And I said, am I saying that he is a comet? And the answer was yes. I was saying he was a comet. And then I figured out the next equation. and it started with, I am a planet. And this was an ancient lifetime of mine where I was in the form of a planet. And apparently he had a background at some point in his past life history where he was in the form of a comet. I never actually necessarily had direct contact with him in comet form, but I had contact with a comet that crashed into me as a planet, and it was very devastating to me, the planet. Now, I just laughed when I got this information, and all I had to do was I just said, this guy is not a comet. And I am not a planet in this lifetime. And you just start talking to your subconscious mind. He's not a comet. I am not a planet. Perhaps we had that kind of background in the past, and perhaps it was very problematic, maybe even deadly, or, created mass destruction. I don't know. I don't care. I'm not a planet today. He's not a comet today. No exaggeration, instantly my system calmed down. I had not an ounce of anxiety. And I went on to work with this guy. He followed my work for a number of years. He was a long-term student, and I never had an ounce of anxiety again with this guy. So that is the power of imaging, of just opening your mind. Number one, detecting that you've got some kind of a problem. It might be body tension, or it might be a pain, or it might be you're having a financial problem, or it might be whatever kind of problem it is. It begins with, do I have any belief codes that are attracting this situation, or that are causing this body tension, or making it, so I can't sleep easy, or causing this weird symptom where I don't want to go outside? And if you get a yes, well, how many belief codes? And are any of them, past life belief codes? Let me see something that is an element of the code, an element of the problematic situation that caused me to create a belief code whenever it is that I created it. You will be surprised how often you can get an image, and that image is the single thing you need, to clear the codes. You use logic. I'm seeing a picture of a comet, or I'm seeing a picture of an asteroid. This must mean that I've had trouble with cosmic bodies like this in the past. System, talking to your subconscious mind, I'm not in any kind of trouble today when it comes to comets or asteroids. Thank you very much. Stop worrying about this. And that simple little basic chat can instantly clear the problem. And by the way, it won't come back. Now, another quick example. About a month ago, I went on a hike with a friend, and I went to an area that I hadn't gone before. And it's by this little town called Jerome. And it's an old mining town. They did copper mining there, and they mined a few other things too, but mainly copper mining. And I had been to Jerome before, but I had never actually gone beyond Jerome and driven up this particular road that we took to get to the hiking trailhead. Well, as you're driving up the road, it's this really windy road. There are these kind of they almost look like forts or something, but they were these big structures just embedded into the hills. And I commented to my friend, gosh, what are those things? And they were some remnant, some really old remnant of whatever they'd been doing in the mining industry there. We were very close to areas where they had been quarrying, because you could see where the hills, the sides of the mountains were all cut out. But it was these kind of, they really reminded me of forts or embattlement features. I don't know. They were these big concrete things. And I made note of it, didn't think anything about it. Well, the next morning I woke up and I just felt terrible, truly terrible. I had aches and pains. I felt nauseated. I had a slight headache. Just was not feeling well at all. And I immediately checked to see if I had awakened any belief codes. If any belief codes were causing the symptom. Because there are many different energetic things and even physical things that could cause those symptoms. But the very first thing I always check is, have I awakened any belief codes that are causing this problem? And I got yes. And when did I awaken the codes? And I got yesterday. And I said, okay, so, and I'm just dowsing. I said, okay, so I have one or more belief codes awake. It has something to do with something I did yesterday. Well, yesterday I went on that hike. Does it have something to do with something I was exposed to on the hike? And I got yes, and I instantly saw a flash of those big concrete things that were the remnants of the mining industry. And as soon as I saw those in my mind, I saw very, very vividly, immediately after that, I saw a giant water wheel, just a big, giant wooden water wheel, like you'd see at a mill. And I instantly dowsed, did muscle testing again. I said, does this have something to do with the belief codes? And I get yes. And so I've got some kind of problem in my past, or I observed something that was traumatic that related to a water wheel. Is that correct? And I got yes. I'm just talking to myself, right? Yes, I get yes. I'm talking to my subconscious mind. And I use something called the permissions method. It means taking your power back from whatever charge, emotional charge is on whatever you're seeing. And I said, I take my permission back, or I take my power back from the water wheel and whatever memory that's connected with. I'm not around water wheels today. Those things that I saw in Jerome, maybe there were water wheels there at one time, I don't know. Somehow they're reminding me of water wheels, but I have no issues with water wheels today. I'm perfectly safe. Everybody I know is perfectly safe. No harm is going to come to me or anyone I care about because of a water wheel. Instantly, all my symptoms went away. Now, I had also dowsed, where is this water wheel? When is this water wheel image coming from? What point in time in my past history? And it was approximately 2,200 years ago. Now, I've done a lot of belief code work on myself over the decades, and so I know quite a bit about my past history, and I am familiar with the lifetime that I had approximately 2,200 years ago. I was in Carthage at the time, and it happens that my family, among other things, was in the mining business. They actually owned mercury mines, and they also were involved in gold mining. And anyway, I thought, I'm just going to, knowing that my family history, not only in that past lifetime, but in this lifetime, I actually incarnated into a family that also had a history of mining. My grandfather owned gold and silver mines and tungsten mines in Nevada in this lifetime. So the chain continues. But I just had a curiosity. The codes were already clear just by me taking my power back from that water wheel. And again, I didn't even need to know the whole story. I just needed to know that I had some kind of problem or some kind of trauma connected. It's called a memory key, connected with a water wheel. And I just said, I take my power back from that, and boom, just like that, the belief codes are clear and I have no symptoms whatsoever. That's the real magic, is when the symptoms, all the physical, awful, yucky symptoms just disappear just like that. Well, I thought, just out of curiosity, I'm going to go on, I'm going to see if they were using water wheels back there in Carthage 2,200 years ago. Sure enough, boom, big, huge picture. Absolutely, they were using water wheels. So it's really neat to go in and find evidence that what you're seeing really did exist in the time frame that you're dowsing, that the problem actually occurred for you. So in summary, past life belief codes can be very problematic. If anything is going on that's unfavorable in your life, like a health situation, a pain, any kind of problem whatsoever, you can douse to see how many belief codes. There'll always be belief codes involved at some level of that. They might be past life, they might be present life, you might have created them, they might be ancestral, you might have inherited them, but always check to see if you've got any belief codes. And whether you can use the same technique on present life codes and inherited codes, but it's especially effective with past life codes. And just say, okay, if you find that you have a past life code, you can even be as bold as to say, so let me see what this is all about, and see if you can get an image like a comet or a water wheel or whatever, and then just take your power back from that. If you see the image, there's a charge on it that's holding, again, it's called a memory key, and it's holding some kind of trauma memory together for you. Now, you're not always going to be so lucky as one image is going to collapse all the belief codes that might have formed during a particular trauma event in a past life. But you can get that lucky, and I've just given you 3 stories: the comet story, the asteroid story, and the water wheel story, of situations where it was one image, a flash, just like that. Pay attention to those things that just flash into your mind. Those can be incredibly important memory keys that can help you clear past life codes, present life codes, even ancestral codes. So, hope you enjoyed the presentation today and learned something, and give it a try. You'll be amazed at how effectively it can work for you. Bye for now.